AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
I was unskilled, and you trained me.
I was forgotten, and you reached out to me.
I was fatherless, and you nurtured me.
I was broken, and you mended me.
As Jesus says, whatever you do for the least of these, you do unto me. Support a child in His name through Compassion International at compassion.com/unto me.
Well, hello there and welcome back. My name is Stephanie Safarian and you're listening to episode 572 of Sustainable Minimalists. This is a listener-supported show about intentional and eco-friendly minimalist living. And on today's show, we're discussing Sephora. We're discussing skincare and beauty care regimens. And we're specifically taking this topic and looking at it through the lens of a parent. Maybe you've heard there is a skincare craze going on for tweens and teens. They're doing their 30-step skincare routines younger and younger. It's the thing to do if you want to fit in. And the irony here is that the tweens, they have the best skin in the world. They have the best skin they'll ever have. And yet they're putting all these potentially harmful chemicals on their bodies. What are the consequences and what should we as parents be doing, saying, looking for, redirecting our children towards? That's what we're discussing today. We're also discussing the damaging marketing behind telling our kids that they're not good enough the way they are, they're not pretty enough, they need countless products to make themselves be better. That, as a mom, concerns me, frankly. But here to help me discuss all of this is Andrea Dar. Andrea is my go-to resource for all things related to ingredients in personal care products. She's been on the show twice before. On her first appearance, we talked about the obesogens, which are those endocrine-disrupting chemicals that are in our stuff that makes us gain weight. Yes, it's a thing. It's true. I'll link to it in the show notes. And on her second appearance, we talked about hair care. So what should we be looking for when we buy shampoo and all the hair care stuff? I'll also link to that show in the show notes if you missed it. They're both so good. Andrea, I'm really excited to have you on the show a third time. Lucky number 3. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I mean, you have an open invitation anytime. I was just thinking before I logged on to chat with you today, how much I've learned from you in our past conversations, how much I continue to learn and how much benefit I get from the Switch Natural app. But we'll talk about all that. Why don't you, for listeners who maybe need a refresher into who you are and what you do, tell us.
Sure. So I love finding clean products and helping people switch to non-toxic products. I got on this train when I was pregnant with my twins, who are now 11. I started looking at all the ingredients in the products I was using, and I realized how unregulated they were. So there were harmful ingredients in everyday products, and I started educating myself on what all of those ingredients meant, figuring out which ones were toxic and which ones were clean. And I really just am passionate about sharing this with other people because I think it's something that a lot of people don't think about. We think about food. We might even think about the water and our air, but everyday products is something we have control over. We can choose better, safer options. And I just want to spotlight that and help people make those changes.
I love it. And I think there's a big overlap between conscious consumption, choosing better, safer, healthier products, and minimalism, which
Absolutely. There really is a link with minimalism and going clean, because what I have found and what other people tell me too is when you start choosing clean products, you ultimately use less. Like you realize you don't need so many products that are marketed to us.
yeah. So we're going to talk about something quite maximalist today. The topic is tween skincare, the craze, the Sephora hauls. Maybe listeners, you've seen some of this on social media, but I have an 11-year-old daughter, Andrea, and with starting middle school and with starting to care more about what her peers think of her, enter the skincare routines and enter all of it. And it is a lot, which I have a lot of thoughts on it. But the first one is, where did this come from? 11-year-olds have the best skin in the whole world. Why are they so susceptible to the anti-aging creams and the retinol and the hyaluronic acid and this and that? It's just crazy to me. Do you have any thoughts on pushing beauty standards on young children? Like, what is going on?
Yes, it's wild. And I definitely have thoughts on that. And I think what's causing this over marketing of products to now children, I think that social media plays a big role in that, and the use of young children using social media and seeing what other people are doing. I don't know if you know about this, but Sephora Kids is actually a trending or viral topic on TikTok. And if you type it in, if you go to TikTok or even Instagram and you type that in, Sephora Kids, you're going to see 6-year-olds putting on skincare, talking about their Sephora hauls. And that sort of blew my mind, and it really opened my eyes to what's really going on. And I have boys who are 11 right now, but I can remember in 4th grade, the boys are now in 5th, and when they were in 4th grade and even 3rd, I would hear other moms saying, my daughter is begging to go to Sephora. And I just felt, wow, that is so young. But everything becomes normalized when you see other kids doing it, and it just seems like the norm, which it was not that way when I was that age. Of course, I'm sure I was into that stuff before I was a full adult, but it wasn't as a kid. So I think we have to pay attention to that and realize we have to reach kids earlier when it comes to educating about this stuff.
I'm glad you mentioned the social media piece because, again, as you're talking there, I'm thinking back to when I was a tween and I had a slumber party and I had friends sleep over. Yeah, we had spa night. Yeah, we put cucumber slices on our eyes. Maybe we did a mask here or there, but we were not first going to Sephora or Ulta Beauty or wherever and buying boatloads of not just products, but potentially harmful products on sensitive skin. Like, children have sensitive skin. So can you talk to me a little bit more about why it may or may not be more dangerous for kids to be using these very powerful products?
So I think even as an adult walking into a store like Sephora or Ulta, most of what you pick up is going to have ingredients that are not good for your health in there. So that being said, and then when you look at young girl skin, the needs or lack thereof of a need, what their skin is going through is totally different from an adult. And a lot of the products are geared towards anti-aging. So you have something like retinols, which encourages skin turnover. That's not what you want. And that can actually, I've even seen more recently, dermatologists are speaking out against this because this can harm their skin for the long term. It can really disrupt the developing skin barrier and cause damage down the road, cause more sensitivities, reactions, and kids shouldn't be looking for anti-aging because they're still developing. Another thing I've been told, I haven't been into a Sephora recently, but I've heard that if you go, the majority of the people in there are kids. It's not adults anymore. And so there's this mismatch of what's being offered to the customer and who the customer actually is. That's a big problem. And I also think that parents, they think that if they choose products from the clean section, because all these stores have clean sections now. We've got clean at Sephora, we've got conscious beauty at Ulta, that it's automatically safe. And that, unfortunately, is not the case.
Can you say more on that? Because I think a lot of parents, they don't want their kids to just lather on all these chemicals on their skin, but they also don't have the time, effort, energy to painstakingly research every moisturizer, every exfoliator, every you name it. So they just go to the clean section. But can you talk to me about what the clean section means and what it doesn't?
So the clean section at every store means something different. So they'll have a list of ingredients that they're restricting or banning, but clean in and of itself is not a legal term and doesn't have a specific definition. So it's just whatever the retailer or the brand is using as their definition of clean. And from my experience, when I look at what they're actually restricting or banning, it is not enough. It's not a lot. And there's a big loophole there that I want to definitely mention, and that's fragrance. So fragrance is allowed in a lot of these clean products, but fragrance is multiple ingredients that are not disclosed on the label. So if fragrance is allowed, then they're allowing ingredients that we don't know what they are. It's just a black box. And fragrance specifically is problematic. It's been found to have frequently has phthalates in it, which is an endocrine disruptor, which is definitely something that's important when you're thinking about developmental periods like puberty. Those are periods when you're especially susceptible to endocrine disrupting chemicals.
Yeah. And I want to just go back to the social media piece, because I really do feel like maybe Sephora rebranded, but they were able to rebrand and capture the attention of teens and tweens because of social media. Because when our children log on to, I don't know where they're at these days, I guess TikTok, maybe Instagram, I don't even know. I don't even know where the kids hang out, but wherever they do go online, they see influencers touting lots of stuff, which the influencer is likely, at the very least, an affiliate for all this stuff, right? So they have the motivation to talk up this stuff to impressionable children. Children, rightly or wrongly, assume that this is the way to have great skin and to look great and to get attention and this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, it's not our children who are benefiting from buying into out of touch and frankly unrealistic beauty standards. It's the influencer touting all the products. And so I'm just curious, like when I say that out loud and I think about how children are essentially being exploited, right? Because they don't know any better or different. They don't have the wisdom or the maturity to see some influencer selling XYZ face products and makeup and think to themselves, oh, this is an ad, essentially. They likely are not mature or wise enough to be able to see through it. Do you think that these influencers who are really pushing these Sephora hauls have any responsibility to bear?
That's a great question. And I think that, first of all, I'll say that I think that people are realizing how the system works more and more. It actually took me the influencer world is really confusing and hard to understand, but you're right. They really are essentially ads. They're being paid by brands to put out this content. It's not because they love it so much and just want to share it for free and want you to be happy with these products. It's a whole business, and they are doing it because it's their livelihood. And I think you're right in that kids are not going to understand that as well as adults. I think that influencers should hold themselves to a standard and take the responsibility for really understanding what they're sharing and what they're pushing and who their audience is. I think when it comes down to it, it's a hard business. And I've heard from influencers, once they reach a certain size, like I've heard from the other side. So once you reach a certain size and you have to have a team and you've got the videographer, the photographer, you have a whole business behind it. And here you have a brand offering you money and you have to pay the salary of your employees, you're going to take it, right? So that is their priority. Not all of them are like that. And I think that's where you have to really have some discernment on who you follow and who you choose to take advice from, but definitely kids, asking them to be able to figure that out is just way too much.
Yeah. You said that the influencer life, it's a business, but it's a business, at least in the case of skincare and makeup marketed to underage children. It's a business that's built off of highlighting children's flaws. And that's terrible.
Terrible. I don't know if you've seen this, but Facebook, there was part of the algorithm behind the scenes work, I don't know what you want to call it, but if a girl would post a selfie and take it down, she was then targeted for ads for beauty products. So it's very predatory.
Oh, wow. So as we're talking here, Andrea, I'm thinking this is just even more evidence, more ammunition for me to keep my children off of screens and off of social media for as long as I possibly can at the end of the day.
I hear you. It's scary. And I think that what's scary to me too is I will get ads for there's not a lot of brands that are targeted directly at kids. I think this is like an emerging market in a way. There's some, but a lot of it is kids using products that really were made for adults originally. But the ones that I am seeing for kids still have fragrance in them and still have problematic ingredients. I don't like that they're targeting kids to begin with. And then they're not even making them really clean. So it's a double whammy. And there's this alarming trend. I'm sure maybe you know about this, but there's an alarming trend toward early puberty in young girls. And early puberty is linked to endocrine-disrupting chemicals that are found in our products. The problem with early puberty is it increases risk for all these other things like obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, psychological problems from having early puberty. So it just takes you into this bad territory of other risks.
Yeah. And I've said this before on the show, but it's one thing to think to myself, oh, I'm in my 40s. Who cares about my health? A little bit of endocrine disruption here, a little bit there. Like, I have bigger worries, right? But when it comes to, rightly or wrongly, but that does go through my mind. Like, I have so many things to worry about. Does my moisturizer have to be on that list? But then with my kids, I don't take that view. My kids deserve my protection at all costs. So you mentioned fragrance, but I'm wondering if there are any other problematic ingredients in these products. I'm thinking phthalates, of course, parabens. Yeah. You tell me, what should parents be looking out for when they're protecting, when the mama bear comes out and they're protecting their cub?
So we know that some of these chemicals are endocrine disruptors. And I'll tell you that choosing better skincare and beauty products is going to reduce exposure. I was reading this study after they took teenagers, and after 3 days, they told them to stop using products with parabens, phthalates, triclosan, and oxybenzone, okay? So they stopped using those products, and in just 3 days, there's like a significant reduction of these chemicals in their body. So we know that beauty products are a significant portion of their exposure to these chemicals. And so those are some of the big ones. Phthalates are going to be in the fragrance. Parabens are preservatives. Triclosan is an antibacterial that was in a lot of soap. It's been phased out of the hand soaps from the FDA, but it still can be found in other products, as well as other I would avoid antibacterial in general, but also oxybenzone is found in sunscreens, and there's other related chemicals in sunscreens that are endocrine disruptors as well. Those are some of the big ones, I would say. Another one that comes to mind that's in a lot of beauty for me is talc. Talc is known to have asbestos, which can cause mesothelioma. It's been linked to ovarian cancer. It's a really bad one, and it boggles my mind that it's still used a lot. And then, of course, a big one for teens is deodorant. So aluminum in deodorant, aluminum's associated with neurotoxicity. Also, there have been studies linking it to breast cancer as well. So that's one where you really want to make sure that when you introduce your tween to deodorant, that it's not an antiperspirant that contains aluminum, that it's just a deodorant that's aluminum free. I think maybe if they start off not using aluminum, you're really setting them up on a better path to continue to not use aluminum. I also want to mention with phthalates, You mentioned phthalates. What's really interesting is phthalates are actually banned from kids' toys, okay? So I saw this, there was a recall alert because a highlighter, so like a pen highlighter, was found to have phthalates in it, and it's not allowed, so it's against the law. But it's allowed in skincare and beauty that children are putting on their bodies. So there's a gap, there's a mismatch. So if they're banned from toys, they should definitely not be allowed in cosmetics.
Agreed. So I'm just putting you on the spot here, but
That's fine.
As you were talking, I found myself personally curious. In your opinion, in your professional opinion, is there anything in Sephora that passes your muster, that passes your level of scrutiny?
There's a few. It's funny. I shared some recently. I'm trying to remember what they are because there's a Sephora sales season and I get so many questions from followers because a lot of people do a lot of their shopping there. Like, if I'm going to shop, what should I buy? Over the years, I find there's less and less, but there's a few products. There's a mascara that I like there. There's a body lotion bar that I like and a foundation. There's a handful of things, but what's interesting with Sephora is I've seen clean brands come and go from Sephora. So brands that I like, I think RMS Beauty used to be there. They're no longer there. Sephora keeps lots of new brands in the pipeline. So it changes, but you have to really dig, but sometimes you can find a few. There's no way I could do all of my cosmetic shopping there, though.
We live in a world overflowing with cheap, disposable stuff, and footwear is no different. All too often, the inexpensive or trendy footwear is uncomfortable, and that's because of their narrow, unnatural shapes. The trendy stuff also is cheaply made and often doesn't last, but Duck Feet's different. Since 1975, designed in Denmark and handcrafted with old-world craftsmanship, Duck Feet makes leather shoes and boots that are foot-shaped. Each pair is lovingly built with durable, natural Italian crepe soles and sustainably made, socially conscious Terracare leather. They are resolable, which means you can keep a pair of Duck Feet for the rest of your life, and many people do. Just check out the thousands of 5-star reviews on their website. I have a pair of boots from Duck Feet. They're so comfortable, I can walk miles in them, and I happily do. They break in, they mold, they stretch to your foot, they build character and memories along the way. Stop buying disposable footwear. Head to duckfeetusa.com and use code MamaMinimalist for $50 off your first pair. That's duckfeetusa.com with code MamaMinimalist for $50 off your first pair. I'm thinking about my daughter, and she is not a representative sample for all tweens and teens by any means, but there's an interesting disconnect because on the one hand, she wants all the skincare stuff. She wants I don't even know, the exfoliator, the chemical peel, I don't know, the 10 steps. I don't even know what the 10 steps are. She wants it all. But at the same time, when I say, you got to put on sunscreen, she's like, no. So there's a disconnect between thinking she needs these 10 steps to either A, set her up for like better skin in the future, or B, fit in with her friends. And yet the very simple thing that's actually going to make a big difference, put on sunscreen in the morning, she's not interested in. And so that tells me it's not about, at least for my daughter, it's not about setting your skin up to be bright and beautiful and blemish-free and healthy for her whole life. It's about fitting in with her peers.
Right. It's a ritual, and it's being a part of something that everyone else is doing, having that like common bond. And it's like you were saying before, I love like the image of you putting the cucumbers on your eyes and like maybe making a yogurt mask at home. But I think you're right. They're not thinking long term. They're thinking what's going to make me look or feel good or feel accepted right now. And I think that's where with the makeup, I definitely think it's what looks trendy or what looks like what my friends are wearing. But I think you're right. It's more of to feel like you're doing something that everyone else is doing.
Yeah. You're part of the herd, right?
Yep,
you're part of everybody else. And
but it's good to be different. It's good to be different.
It is good to be different, but try telling my 11-year-old that. She wants to just fit right in. And I can't say I say I blame her. Most teens
Sure.
and tweens want to fit in. It's a difficult time, but I want to talk about when it comes to the skincare routine, what should a teen and a tween with their young, beautiful, dewy skin, maybe some acne, what should they actually be putting on their skin on a daily basis?
I would echo what you said about the sunscreen. I think sunscreen is like one of the single most important things we can do. Make sure it's a clean one. And also just a very basic, gentle face wash that they can do. And some people will just do the splash water in the morning on your face. And then when you shower at night or bathe, use a good cleanser. I think that's all they need. I really don't think it needs to be complicated. And honestly, probably the more steps, the more likely you are to cause acne, cause rosacea, cause irritation. Is really a lot of it is from the products. And I think that with acne, from what I've learned, I think a big part of that is also just lifestyle, like the food and sleep and stress. It's not what skincare products are we lacking.
Yes. And I think that's step one. So what we're moving towards, Andrea, is like steps for parenting kids who are in this phase. And I think step one is perhaps explaining to our children that the more they use, the more problems they may be creating. So going back to minimalism, instead of having a 10-step skincare nightly routine, can we cut it down to 5? Can we cut it down to 3? Even if they're still putting 5 things on their face every night, let's say that they don't necessarily need. 5 is still half of 10.
Yeah, no, you're right. And okay, so I'll give you another one that I think is good. I think a face mist or a toner / face mist. A lot of the ones that I recommend and personally use are one ingredient, a rose hydrosol. I think for most people, that's not going to irritate skin. You can do a cucumber one, and it's just one simple, pure ingredient that's not going to cause a reaction. It's not going to have contaminants or anything weird in it. And it feels good. You don't have to spritz your face.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so that's the skincare routine. Anything in particular for acne? Because I think back to when I was a teenager and acne was my number one problem and my number one concern. Any thoughts on the treating of the acne?
I would say the big thing I would say is stay away from the benzoyl peroxide. Those are found to be contaminated with benzene. That's a carcinogen. I want to say that nearly all the ones that were tested were found to have some benzene. And I think that's the standard product that people reach for acne. So I think if you can steer away from that, and what's also something that I've learned about an ingredient. So honey can actually be good for acne. So if you find products, there's a cleanser that I love that has honey in it. That is supposed to be good for acne as well. So that's something you can try.
Ooh, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to makeup. I will say here that thanks to your help and your guidance and thanks to Switch Natural, I have switched over all of my makeup. So when my daughter says she wants to start wearing mascara and blush, I can just say, here's a great brand. Here, just buy another one of the ones that I'm already using. I've already vetted them, so I feel good about it.
I think that for makeup, it's the same. Okay, so for skincare, what you probably want to use might be different than what your daughter wants to use, because you might want some ingredients that increase cell turnover. You're an adult, and her skin, like we're saying, doesn't really need anything at all. But when it comes to makeup, if you found clean ingredient products, it would probably be the same for her. The one thing that might look different from an interest standpoint is the marketing. Like she might be more drawn towards those brands that are marketed towards young girls, or maybe I saw if a young YouTuber that they watch or has a brand, they might be more drawn to it, a younger girl. But I think if you can stick to those ones that really just have clean ingredients, that's the way to go with makeup, because you want the same thing for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great example of if I did the work already for myself, it's not extra work to then do it for my daughter. Same mascara.
Yeah,
works.
Absolutely. And I've done that with my kids. When they start eating face wash, I'm going to give them the one that I use. I give them the same bar soap that I use, the same shampoo, all those things. And because I know they work for me, they haven't irritated my skin. I know that they're clean and I feel comfortable with them using it.
So as you're talking, Andrea, you're making me think that one part of the parenting of a tween or teen who's heavily into skincare is to explain to them that different products work for different skin types, right? Different products
Yes,
work
that's
well.
an excellent point. Yes.
Because the influencers aren't saying that.
Right. They're trying to see. Yeah, that's right.
So
Not all the time.
explaining that my daughter's best friend can use X, Y, and Z products and it makes her skin look phenom, that might not work for my daughter. And so I think there's an education piece here too, right? It's not about going to the store and buying all the things.
That's a good point. It's, very dependent on skin type. Some people might have drier skin. Some people might have more oily skin. I think skincare is really personal. And even with natural ingredients, there can be some ingredients that for whatever reason your body it doesn't like. And so you have to change things around. And I guess that reminds me too, I think if you were introducing your daughter to products, if you could try to get her to do one at a time. Try a new face wash and give it 2 weeks and make sure that there's no itching, no uncomfortable feeling in the skin or any reactions. And that way you can know that what you're using is right for your skin.
Another thing I'm trying in my house is, so when my daughter says she wants this new whatever lip gloss or whatever, having her buy it with her own money. Like these products are not necessarily cheap, right? So buying a $20 lip gloss with her own money, she really has to think about, does she really want a lip gloss that costs $20? And I think sometimes in America, certainly not all over the place and not every family, but sometimes our kids want something and we want to be great parents, so we just buy it for them. But let's bring it back to making kids buy it with their own money, earning it. Because when they have they have to slow down and earn the money to buy the thing, they really have to think about how badly they want it. So just because a kid says they want to go to Sephora and do a haul doesn't mean we have to take them and doesn't mean we have to use our own money. Do you have any other tips for talking to our children about the importance of being more intentional with the stuff that we're putting on our skin? And I ask that because when I try and talk to my 11-year-olds about ingredients and about holistic health, she just rolls her eyes and says, yeah, mom, whatever. This isn't that big of a concern. I'm fine. I don't care about endocrine disruption. Any thoughts on convincing her?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good point because it's difficult for kids to care about things in the future that they can't see. So it's not like they're going to use this product and they're going to immediately have a consequence from it. It's hard to really grasp like the long-term effects. So one of the things, I think if you've had a conversation with your child about food and they understand, okay, when I eat this, I feel bad. And if you've had the conversation of how it can lead to health problems in the future, you can explain it to them that way. And so I like to say there's a lot of things that we choose that can increase our risk. Most kids, I would say at this point, have had some sort of understanding of what cancer is, and it's everywhere. And so if there are simple things that we can do to reduce our risk, our likelihood of us having these horrible diseases happen to us, then why not? If it's an easy fix, if it's not something that's going to make our day-to-day life so terrible. So those are the kind of things I like to tell my kids, and I try to make all the options in my home healthy, because there are always going to be times when you're in a hotel and maybe you didn't bring your shampoo and you're going to use the hotel soap, or you're out to dinner and you can't control what oils they're using in the food. So I think if you can do what you can in your home, then you're making a big impact.
Like that. So I always appreciate your product recommendations. I always try them, and I would say 99 times out of 100, I've kept up with your product recommendations. Last time you were on, we discussed shampoo and you suggested Captain Blankenship. I love it. It's very expensive, but it's great.
Oh, good.
I'm going to be poor because I'm buying this expensive but non-toxic shampoo. But I'm curious, do you have any suggestions for the staples? So I consider the staples to be a facial cleanser, a moisturizer, and maybe like a couple types of makeup, like a mascara or a blush.
Yeah. And I'll say too, the skincare, like we mentioned already, of course, like it's so personal, but these are the ones that I love. And I think that most people that try them, when I recommend them, say they love too. I think I've had like one person tell me the face wash didn't work for her. So in the morning, I use, the brand is called Oil. It's OY-L. She has a honey face wash. I use that in the morning. And then in the evening, I use a face wash by Fit Glow. It's their ceramide gel cleanser that's gentle, but it'll get off any remaining sunscreen or makeup I have on. I use the Lemon Rose Sea Buckthorn oil as a moisturizer. I don't use a true rich moisturizer every night, but that's one I really like. And then what was the next product you asked for? Oh, mascara. I love the Fit Glow mascara. I like Fit Glow mascara and I like Ilia mascara. Ilia is one that you can find at Sephora. But Fit Glow, I like both of those a lot.
And blush?
And blush? Oh, Lily Lolo is the brand.
Oh, you love Lily Lolo. You just had that right on your tongue.
Yes. And I like their bronzer. You know what? I just thought of something too, going back to your other question that I'll just interject really quick. With my kids, and I think other kids, I've heard this feedback too, I have encouraged them to look at ingredient lists and they scan everything now with my app. Like when we're in Whole Foods, they get a kick out of it because they're curious and and they're like, why is it good? So I think if you can bring them into that process, it sticks with them more, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's such a good tip. I'm writing it down. Yeah. Get them invested in caring. It's not about us as parents trying to force them to care. It's about guiding our kids and empowering them to care about their own health. Yes. So to that point, can you please tell us about the Switch Natural app? It is great.
So my app, it's basically all this research that I have done and continue to do on ingredients. I put it all in an app because people are in the store or shopping online and they're like, is this product good or bad? I don't know what these ingredients mean. So you can take a picture of any product's ingredients. It's not like it's not a database of products with barcodes. It looks at the ingredient list and it'll say, okay, this one has this, but these potentially harmful ingredients. You can tap on the ingredient and it'll tell you why it's harmful. And I put links to the relevant research so you can go back to the studies and see why I'm saying, okay, you might want to avoid this. And it's just really to empower people to say, do I really want to use this product? This is what's in here, because what we're lacking is transparency. And brands know that. Nobody knows what any of these ingredients mean. It's in this tiny print on the back. It's not on the front. And so they can really hide behind these clean claims, but the app will really get to the root of it. And so you can make an educated decision on what products that you want to use. It also has some of these recommended products that I've scanned that I know are clean or that I've used in there. So if you need suggestions for different products, you can just look it up in the shop section. And it's something that I continually update when new research comes out. So it's like a living, breathing resource that you can use to switch to clean products. It's funny. When my kids scan products now, they can say some of the words like phenoxyethanol. It's just hilarious. And they're like, oh, Mom, you don't want this one. It has phenoxyethanol. You don't want the... It's so funny.
I love it. Okay, so let's recap quickly our steps for helping our teens and tweens with their skincare regimens. Step 0 is to keep them off social media. That's where this is really originating from. And that's where it's like profligating from, right? That's where this is coming from. It's the influencer. So keep them off social media if at all possible. Step 2,
Agree.
Teach them that less is more. So it's not that they necessarily need to use 0 products. It's that they could, if they're using 10, they could use 5, right? Less is more. And then it's about giving them products or pushing them towards or inviting them to use products that are safer with less toxic ingredients. You gave us some great suggestions, but teaching them that different products work for different skin. Just because the influencer is telling you this is the best moisturizer in the whole world, that doesn't mean it's going to work for one person's specific skin. Also, have your kids use their own money to buy this stuff, because guess what? If something is $48 and that $48 is 2 days of babysitting, that $48 item may not seem as much of a must-have if they're using their own money. Anything else? Oh, use the Switch Natural app. Have the children use it so they can get excited about scanning ingredients lists and learning in the process. Did I miss anything?
I think you did awesome, Stephanie. That's so helpful for people. Wow, I love that.
Okay. Phew, I'm tired. That was a lot of talking. Thank you so much. Tell us where we can find you, where we can find the Switch Natural app. I'll link to it all in the show notes, but tell us as well.
Thank you. I am most active on Instagram. My handle is @switch.natural. I have a blog, but I got tons of information there, a Substack too. My blog is switchnatural.com. I'm on Facebook and TikTok and all the places, but feel free to reach out to me anywhere that you consume content that I am. I love hearing from people. I really do. Connecting is the best part.
And I love talking to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie.
You have to promise right now you'll be on a fourth time.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Listeners, that's a wrap. My friends, show notes are at mamaminimalist.com/573. And we do have an eco tip. Yes, we do. Thank you, Dana, for sending it to me. Dana says that if you have hair, like in your hairbrush, you brush your hair, comes out, you can put it outside for the birds and they will use it to make nests. And I love this tip because why throw it in the trash if you can do something else with it? So you have a hairbrush full of hair, throw it outside, give it to the birds. I love that. I'll say too, I used to do this with my dog's hair. I would brush my dog and then I would let the hair go outside. But apparently, because I give her topical tick medicine, it's not good for the birds. So if you have a dog and you're brushing the dog, but the dog gets tick meds, this tip does not apply for our canine friends. So thank you so much, Dana. We will not be back next week. I'm taking the week off for Thanksgiving. So if you live in the U.S. and you celebrate Thanksgiving, I wish you a wonderful celebration with your loved ones. We'll be back the following week, and I'll see you then. Take care.
I was forgotten, and you reached out to me.
As Jesus says, whatever you do for the least of these, you do unto me. Support a child in his name through Compassion International at compassion.com/unto me.
Family movie night just got easier with Fandango. Reserve seats in advance, skip the lines, and even cancel if plans change. Plus, with Fandango's fan club, save on every trip to the movies. Want to stay in? With Fandango at home, you can stream your family favorites right from the couch. Whether it's a weekend outing or a cozy night in, Fandango makes movie magic simple for the whole family. Download the Fandango and Fandango at Home app today.
Holidays feeling hectic? Pillsbury is here to lend a hand. Roll out some magic with cookies, crescents, crusts, and more fresh from the oven. 'Tis the season for big smiles and easy wins with Pillsbury.
If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
On the job, every minute counts. That's why Lowe's now has ProBlock Quick Dry Primer, expertly manufactured by Sherwin-Williams. Engineered for pros to dry fast and go on smooth for virtually flawless results that keep your job moving. It's available in oil and water-based, and getting it is easy. Order online by 2 p.m. and get free same-day delivery right to your job site. Lowe's, we help, you save. Orders placed after 2 p.m. will be delivered next day. Valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. More terms apply.